Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to go over some of the progress I've made on my helmet. To start out with, here's just this temporary light fixture piece that I made for the middle LED. I made it first just so I know what some of my other measurements are going to be. This isn't the final piece. The final piece will have a locking mechanism for the light that I can insert from the front, which I'll show in the later videos. I also started with a jaw piece. I just traced my chin and jaw kind of on a piece of paper and kind of made this template piece. Once I got some measurements, I just cut the piece of paper out and traced it on the wood board for kind of an approximate base plate. I did come up with a second version because of the first version. I was a little worried that it would be too small of a gap to put my face and chin through once I have the final product. Here's everything glued together just as kind of a test fit. I went ahead and spray painted the piece together, and it's not perfect, but it's just kind of a initial sizing, working from the bottom up. I also made these kind of LED pods for the side LEDs, but I really didn't like how straight the jaw looked, as well as the kind of the pods that I made for it. So what I did is I scrapped the whole thing and started over and put clay over my head cast just to get a better visual idea of what I'm going for. Of course, it's not exact to what I'm wanting to do, but more of a clear idea on what the thickness and the kind of angles I'm looking for. So I just peeled away the rest of the clay and just kind of started back over from the jaw piece again. Here is the second version of the side jaw pieces, and here is the third version. As you can see, it's a little bit longer, and there's kind of a little tooth kind of piece that kind of sticks up a little bit just to give it some more detailing instead of just straight lines that are kind of boring. Here I'm just sanding and trimming up the pieces, getting it ready for paint and trying to get it as perfect as I can, because like I mentioned in my previous videos, I've been thinking about my own helmet ever since I was a teenager, so I just want to make sure it's as perfect as I can make it. Alright, and here to the base plate, I was thinking to put the jaw pieces at a slight angle so it doesn't look so stiff, kind of just straight up, and it gives me a little bit more of a wiggle room around my face. And instead of the pod for the LEDs, I just have these little receptacles to the side, as well as these little circles at the back of the jaw that'll cover the two prongs sticking out of the LED. With the circles on the side of the jaw, I wanted to add some detailing to the face and kind of came up with that idea, just add additional circles similar to my ears. I have, I think, 2-inch circles right there at the jawline, and I will add additional circles just for details here in a little bit. So once I put the LED receptacles for the cheeks in, this is kind of what it looks like at a slight angle, and this is kind of what it'll be like once the helmet's complete. I should just be able to slide these LEDs in, and as you can see, it's a pretty snug fit. Should fit right in without it popping out or anything like that. So once I had that in place, I just kind of filled the angle gap between the circles and the LED pieces with some additional wood pieces, and started adding some thickness around the lower jaw piece. So there are some gaps, no biggie, I'm just going to fill it later on. But overall, I was a little more satisfied with this third version of the jaw piece. Way better detailed, you know, kind of has more character than just simple patterns and stuff. Yeah, it was coming out a lot better. I was starting to see kind of what I was going for a lot better than the initial stuff. Here, just additional circles that'll fit right above the jaw, kind of at the cheek level. I may add additional details to the circle later on, but for now I'll just leave it kind of plain. And here's kind of how it looks like once it's placed. And I put Bondo on here just to fill it and then sand it, but I would not recommend doing this because all the little nooks and crannies was very time consuming to sand, and as you can see it's not completely perfect, but whatever I couldn't really get to, I just tried to fill it with some clay, and I will definitely have to fill some more before I do a final mold on this helmet. Once I got the jaw kind of completed, I was thinking to start on the face. Here I was thinking about having like an upper panel to install this fan through, and it'll be like a circulation system between the outside air and the inside air to cool down my face and clear the visor, but seemed a little too difficult. So what I just went ahead with is the back compartments, just to kind of finish that out while I'm on hold for the face. This compartment here is going to be for the circuits. Initially I thought maybe I could fit all the circuits up above the battery pack, but once I remove it, it's you'll see not a whole lot of space in there. So what I came up with is to have an upper compartment just for kind of like the power distribution or the step up voltage circuit. And then I would have the Arduino Nano on the side of the head, kind of like so, with a similar kind of frame as the battery pack. Of course, the depth will be a little bit different since it has the curvature of the side of my head, but here's the upper compartment painted with some of the paneling on there. So I was thinking to make that side compartment, so I went ahead and started to build the battery pack panel over again because my initial panel, I blew out the holes first time working with this type of wood. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but I wanted to remake that panel and use that same panel for the other compartments that will be on the back of the head. So I just made sure to take my time, cut out the pieces nice and slowly, try not to mess it up. And here I have just super glue on the little stiffener piece that's on the inside. And here I'm going to attach it to the upper part of the panel. And as you can see, 3mm holes at the top where the screw head will fit perfectly flush, and then the smaller hole it'll actually sit on top of. So yeah, it's a perfect fit. Looks a lot better than the original. Just got to round out the edges. And now that I have a brand new panel, I traced it on this wood board, made a little 1/4-inch frame around it, and then what I'm doing here is slowly taking up the drill bit sizes on the panel that I traced out on the inside corners, just to give it a nice curve. Without using my knife on. Once I had all 4 holes drilled at the corners, I just took my ruler and my blade and cut a straight line across towards the bottom of each circle. And once it's all cut out, I should just be able to pop the inner panel back out with an approximate shape to the brand new panel that I made. So here's just a test fit, and just need to sand out the corners just a little bit with this 400 grit sandpaper. And sand the top for paint, just want to smooth out the surface. Once everything's good, go ahead and just cut the frame out of the wood. And it's looking pretty good. And this is a bit of a snug fit. I'll probably have to sand the frame from the final cast just so the panel fits a little bit better. No big deal there. And here I'm just making sure that my measurements are correct with the lower portion of the compartment. So here is the frame that's complete. It's a 1/4 of an inch in depth. And it'll go just right next to the battery compartment there. And internal to that compartment shall be the Arduino Nano. Something like that, and I'll do the same for the other side. This is just a little preview. I'll make a mold of the panel piece and just use the same 3 panels all the way around. Just makes it a little easier than coming up with a couple different size panels. And it does look pretty big, and I kind of didn't like it at first, but I really didn't know what else to do with the additional compartment space I needed. So I'll just live with it. I think it'll look okay. There I was just making sure to strip the clay, make sure the compartment has plenty of space. Same for inside the upper compartment, just make sure it's nice and flat. So for the final cast it looks really good. Here I'm just making the edge, the perimeter for the upper compartment, and I made these little pieces that are the same height as the lower portion of the upper compartment lid. Give it some additional detailing, and I can kind of start to see a helmet more coming out of my progress. Just added some details here and there, some gaps, kind of polygonal shapes at the top. For the very top of the head, I think I'll just leave clay and just kind of smooth it out so it kind of conforms to my head a little bit more whenever I actually have the final product, instead of having kind of flat surfaces that might be a little rough on my head. So once I cut out all the pieces and kind of spray painted it, this is kind of the progress I have. And here is the fan on the front. I think I'll just install it on the inside of the helmet once it's cast out of plastic. I don't think I can make anything too complicated with a vent system like I initially had thought, just to save space. So here's just a little 360 view. And the back of the head is pretty wide and flat, but that's okay. It'll function like how I want it to as a compartment space. So, and I try to make it to where if I tilt my head or anything, it's clear of my neck and shoulders. Yeah, I think it'll work out pretty good, more on the practical side, like I want it. So yeah, this is where I'm at. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.